Thank you very much, Giniro and Exakick. Yeah, Smolder Nerf's coming in. You heard from the analyst desk earlier that they don't believe that it'll be sufficient. We have no emergency smolder button. But I'm Drakos, that's Eragon. The emergency smolder button is that we hope, as highlighted there, that the ultimate cooldown is enough that people can finally punish this champion. Or the ban button. Teams, if you want to, you know, give us.
A little bit worried. Exit seemingly a little bit confident in the fact that they can maybe win the early game against Smolder, so we'll be left open.
That's, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, we understand conceptually that it is possible to, you know, hit hard and fast enough that Smolder never gets the time to scale and you can win a game. But it's like, historically, if you're not feeling 100% in that game plan, maybe you could ban it and you could just outscale them, which, you know, I don't like. I like teams that are willing to push the envelope a little bit, but SK last split pushed the envelope a lot. You know, they were busting out the Lucian Nami. They were really trying to be a team that could snowball, that could dominate. Didn't always work out for them, but here as we enter picks and bans, you can already see the Smolder has been taken away. Round of applause from Berlin. You love to see it. Gone is the little dragon.
Yeah, Senna still open, Senna Nautilus still a priority pairing. I really like this Neeko picker from Nisqy. I think he's been fantastic on it, and there's a lot you can do with Isma. Specifically though, I want to highlight his rel is gone, right? This was a pick that he just looks phenomenal on when he has priority lanes. He can get pushing lanes and then do whatever he likes, dive bot, dive top. He did it last time against Vitality, and he looked really good.
Definitely did. Seeing though, of course, in this pick and ban, if BDS kind of adjust their strategy at all last week. They looked a little bit lost. You heard from Exakick, you know, he's still scared. He still thinks they're a real threat. I want to see what else they can bring to the table. I think you're in the same boat. And we wanted to know, are they gonna push forward? Are they gonna try anything crazy, or will they go back to potentially old ways of BDS, which was a lot of scaling in front to back, and that's an Aphelios.
I'm seeing it a little bit, yeah. Like the front to back is coming a little bit back. We saw them attempt, right, with Nuke on Ahri, with Talia, to try and play this kind of global meta that we're seeing, which is, you know, these pairings, Ahri, Lee Sin, etc. I wonder if they just run it back, right? Orianna's gone, Azir's off the table as well. So maybe we see a bit of front to back for BDS.
Definitely possible. I think if you're BDS, though, you're concerned just a little bit about the power of the mid-jungle duo that SK Gaming have put together thus far. Neeko is...
That's a taunt.
Could be a flex, could also be a taunt, and he has been seeing some play internationally.
Yeah.
Or are we handshaking on front to back? Is it just time?
It's time.
80 carries. We've returned scaling. All right, Zeri's at least a little bit different. I feel like Jinx Aphelios more or less serve the same purpose in a team comp. So I'm glad there's at least a little bit of a mix up with Zeri, which is glad to see Zeri is a weird thing to say, but it is the Smolder era.
So we're already seeing the building blocks of a dive composition for SK. You can also play Peel with the Neeko, but in general, what we're probably going to pair this off with is going forward with the Neeko, Zeri can dash forward over the wall as well to follow up on any kind of engage, and then it's a matter of peeling for BDS, and already the Jax flex coming out, also a really good answer into Xin jungle.
Jack's a champion that I think we've seen pretty unsuccessful in Winter. I feel like teams kind of got turned off to it. Irrelevant had one crazy game. The rest of the time was kind of perma-banned against him. So it's nice that BDS have gotten this champion themselves, taken away from him. But I want to see how they can leverage the power of this pick overall. I think there were a few opportunities we've seen in other drafts to pick Jax. Most teams have steered away for it. BDS maybe putting the Jax onto the top side of the map as they have already banned away the Renekton. But as we discussed earlier, Renekton's still just a great pick for Irrelevant, regardless.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're probably going to ban away junglers here if you're SK. Although it could be Jax jungle. So that's the thing, right? This is where scouting comes in. Does Adam play Jax? In the past, he has. And you've started banning away counters to the Jax in the Renekton. So maybe we see some other Irrelevant target bans. I think something like Rumble could be really good into the Jax, but I'm not sure if Irrelevant plays it. Regardless, though, could see another top lane ban.
Debating here on this final ban. A lot being put towards the top side of the map. Of course, when we look at these teams, it's easy to get caught up in a number of different potential matchups, but I think both top laners, often the star of their respective lineups, Irrelevant having a fantastic winter split despite the struggles of SK, and Adam, Gods, Olaf, whatever you want to say. Yes, he did have a rough week one, especially against Photon, but still a guy who you always have to watch. Whether or not you like what he's doing, he demands a certain amount of attention.
A lot of flexes coming in for BDS, right? We've seen Adam play Karma, we've seen him play Jax in the past. So I imagine it's still going to be R5 Adam and leaving the counter pick for him and watching what Irrelevant has to blind pick. A lot of his blind picks off the table now. The Renekton is gone. That's something he shined on last week. So it's really up to Irrelevant what he has in store for us. Something like Rumble could be great for the dive composition as the Thresh.
Thresh is an interesting option here. One thing I will say is, in eras past, Thresh Aphelios was such a fantastic combination because it just gave the Aphelios an extra summoner spell. You talked about it earlier. A lot of dive on the first 3 picks we're seeing from SK. How do BDS want to deal with that? Flay, obviously a great option. The Lantern, a great option. The downside is, people were already blind picking Nautilus, and now you're going to give him a matchup that he's happy to have. That's a great situation for SK.
So Thresh, preemptively taken away, denies any kind of Lulu pick in advance, and so what you do instead is you pick away the Nautilus. The Nautilus is a really good matchup in terms of the 3v3. Into the Thresh, you just turn onto the Thresh and you blow him up. And in terms of the support versus support matchup, it depends on the AD carries, right? So Aphelios had a little bit more firepower early, probably going to win out on the 2v2. But what Thresh brings is that escape potential, right, for the Aphelios. A lot of good peel, as well as some potential bot lane gank setup.
Yeah, nothing better in the world than the Lantern behind you, Flash Flay, Season 3 classic. But here we go. If at first you do not succeed, try again. The last Olaf game, not even bittersweet, just bitter for Adam, as he was obliterated in the context of the 1v1 laning matchup against Photon's Rumble. This time he will get to try his hand up against Irrelevant on the Jayce.
Yeah. So top lane, a little bit volatile. Bot lane has potential for 3v3s with the Lantern setup. You have mid, who's consistently contesting priority, so that the Jax can potentially fight the Xin Zhao in isolation. I think this map is going to be quite wild. It could be action everywhere.
I'm ready for it to be incredibly explosive. I wanted to talk about mid lane, but now it's Karma versus Neeko. I feel like top side of the map is going to slap, but these guys are both just facilitators for much more interesting champs. We'll see how the bot side of the map scales up. A moments away from our first game of the day. BDS, can they turn around a rough week 1? Fire back against SK, or will SK continue their march up the standings? It's time to find out to get into our first game. And right off the bat, the Thunderdome being constructed on the top side of the map. 5 players roaming in. BDS, I'm not sure if they spotted that ward. I think they did, as pings are still coming down.
So you'll see this pretty often in range versus melee matchups, especially matchups where you have to take control of the bushes, because it's incredibly important that Irrelevant still has his ward later on, so they can use it, potentially avoid ganks, as well as keep warding topside. The reason you need this is that you need to auto-attack the champion and then head back in a bush to de-aggro. So bush control, incredibly important in these kind of range versus melee volatile matchups.
Yeah. And we know the Olaf is going to be volatile early on as the fist bump comes through.
Yep.
Make sure. I don't know where you're binding it if you're at home, but push you. I've seen a lot of people leave people hanging. Dagda and Medic. I did the same to them, to be fair. You miss it in moments like that. Yeah, but I think, really, is top lane the sole focus for us? Like, when we look at the map, there's, I think, 2 very active or potentially very active early junglers, as you can see SK go for the leash here. But where actually has to be the focus point?
My eyes are on Sheo and what he does early, because he has priority from the Karma in theory, which can then transition into ganks topside. Now the big thing is, as always, when you have a TP-less top laner in Adam with the Ghost, if he gets chunked, if he dies at all, he can't TP himself back top lane to bail himself out and catch that wave. So any kind of gank topside, even from potential jungle roams like the Nautilus from DOS, whatever hits that lane really sticks. Yeah. So my eyes are on Sheo as well as topside.
I think totally fair to call it topside. Again, the last time we saw the Olaf, it was, I think, Flash Ignite versus Flash Ghost. So it was a situation where both players were kind of gambling in the same capacity, both focusing on more combat potential. Irrelevant doesn't have another combat sum, but does have that kind of get-out-of-jail-free card of the TP if he takes a bad trade. See how aggressive he actually wants to get in this lane. As for now, it's quiet farming. Checking in on the bottom side of the map, early pressure, currently in favor of the side of SK. And I will say in mid lane, I want to see what Nuke can get done on this Karma, because we've seen him on the kind of the scaling control mage carry options. We've seen him struggle a little bit with more roaming champions, and Karma a bit more of a facilitator in a lot of ways as we get later.
Check this out.
Stun coming in, Irrelevant. Gate is there, knockback is there, trying desperately to hold onto that flash. Isma waiting over the wall. The play fizzles.
Just misses every axe, right? The second they don't connect, the phase rush, he just gets out of there. Irrelevant survives.
I mean, stone cold. I know so many players who would have immediately flashed, me amongst them. You just assume that you're dead to rights, but very patient, knows the early damage isn't there, and now Isma walking into lane. Sheo fighting for a bit of vision.
Adam has no ghost, so if he gets on him, slow gonna miss from Irrelevant's hammer, but just gonna walk in the wave, and it's incredibly important he does. He can secure any kind of reset on with tier, but that ward, not going to spoil the invade.
Blue buff.
So at the cost of covering topside and crashing the wave, Isma loses the blue buff.
good heads-up performance there from Sheo. Yeah, moves to the top side, but Sheo now waiting in the brush. Good early poke from Isma. Jax now forced to use the counter-strike. Nisqy on the roam in. This could turn against BDS very quickly. They need to burn down Isma as fast as they can. The lockup is there. First blood coming in from Nuke. Nisqy now trying to fire back on Sheo. Good damage from the Pop Blossom. Can't quite get it done. But the Pop Blossom. The flash is the auto, the shield, Nuke! Oh, he's playing with his heart. The red buff too! They're just getting absolutely obliterated topside!
BDS topside with the red, but with all the slows. This is the prio we're talking about with the Karma into the Neeko. Both really want to contest prio, but Nuke has it. He's able to move first. And then just get into this replay. Let's just take a look right now. The 1v1 is always Jack's favor. This is why it's picked into the Xin Zhao blind. But Nuke moves first, and this is really crucial. The priority coming out from the mid lane, and the tether manages to stick to it anyway after the flash.
And you expect the blooming burst there, excuse me, not
that
the Pop
flash.
Blossom is going to finish the kill, but just that one last auto, the flash, the committal. And we've all been there. We've all been Nisqy in that situation. You see how far you know, hey, at least I can get the kill back. Maybe I'll be able to walk away, but that Karma shield.
It was so close.
Brutal. And again, I was curious about how this was going to work for Nuke, and I don't know how it's going to look later in the game with the overall BDS team strategy, but the early game looks nice. He's pretty clean with it.
So much action topside. You saw even early on, Isma was pathing topside to avoid any potential kind of skirmish topside, any kind of 3-camp gank in top lane, and it just all works out in the end for BDS. 2-0 for Nuke. Adam. Should be okay.
Getting run down there. And I think, crucially, we talked about volatile lanes. You know, top lane for now, relatively unaffected by the absolute chaos earlier on in the game. Yes, Adam doesn't have a ghost. He will get it back shortly, but Relevant did have the TP, and there's no major advantage for either side yet. But it will change if mid lane does get unlocked. As Relevant starts to trade, trying to, I think, bait Adam into getting aggressive because Isma is there to cover.
Just remember, any kind of chunk sticks to Adam. He has to stay in this lane if he can't get a crash. So both junglers are beeline topside. Isma is on this. Now, Adam has first move, but that HP difference might be problematic.
Sheo does get the stun. Isma no flash. Wind becomes lightning now walking into Adam, but doesn't have the burst damage to get through the lifesteal of Olaf. Trying to walk back into Irrelevant. Irrelevant now going to try to take off Adam, but Sheo walks up and gets another one. SK getting a little bit flustered in these plays.
And it's just Karma also has priority, so both pushing lanes for the top side of BDS. It just means that they have full control of these grubs, so any kind of startup just favors them. And Adam going to be able to get a reset now as well, exactly what he wanted.
And credit to Sheo. He's punished multiple plays now coming in. First he steals the blue buff there, managed to convert that into the double kill, which I think more than he even expected, and then is exactly where he needs to be on the top side of the map to ensure that they get another pick onto Isma, who's only falling further and further behind. And meanwhile, both teams content to leave bot lane on an island. They both got their insurance policies down there. We don't need to look here, but I do appreciate it, observers. Because frankly, it's just about the top side of the map. Nisqy missing the Pop Blossom. First of the game is big. And credit to Nuke. A clean early game thus far.
Yeah, and Nisqy going to lose out on that. That should be grubs over, but they'll potentially keep looking for a dive on this crash. I'm just worried about how Adam actually crashes this. I don't think they can, so Sheo going to settle for this. Now, he doesn't have Q, he just used it, but Isma's a level down. And no flash.
Maybe just trying to extend his own individual advantage. Way still getting pushed in topside. Sheo, yeah, you know, has yoink, leveraging the power of the leap strike. I think we could safe to say that was just a bit of a cheeky attempt there. I think without perfect information, hard to ensure that you get the grub, or the Krug rather, Gromp. There's too many G-related kinks.
It's true.
I'm struggling.
And as you say that, I can't think of any more.
Yeah, I think I listed them all off. We're good. There's just Gromp and grubs.
But this is the problem I have, right? And in some ways, every time I see Karma versus Neeko, it's the exact same thing, right? Because it feels like you draft Neeko, yes, she has a fantastic ultimate, but in the whole of the early game, it feels like Karma is just a better Neeko because she always gets first move. And then when you have these kinds of junglers who want to move together with the priority, you just can't because the Karma will always be there first, and that way Isma just can't play the game. So it's just a trend you see globally, you know?
Yeah, and I think the 2K or almost 2K gold advantage that BDS are now building for is just going to feel better and better. And very often we see games where even if Xin is quiet early on or behind, as is in the case of Isma, level 6 things start to turn around because compositions will lack the damage, the close range damage to get through that Xin Zhao ultimate, right? But that's a Olaf and a Jax. So I don't think they're going to have that problem this game, which means that SK have to be very careful out their next few plays, or they could put themselves at so great of a deficit that it's just impossible to come back in these fights.
Ping's coming down on the bot side wave that's incoming now. I imagine what they're going to try and do is gank through lane with the Thresh Lantern, but it might just fizzle us. I think SK read the play. They know they could potentially gank be ganked here, and Sheo could be bot side. So instead, what they're going to do is head over to Dragon, because they saw the reset.
Saw the
nice
reset.
adaptation.
No, Sheo's there first. Adam already moving down just for a bit of vision, just to pose a potential threat. Not currently spotted out. Lays a little bit of vision to cover. Mid lane as well, so Neeko can get more aggressive. And BDS leveraging their pressure in top and mid very well. Even if it is just small advantages, setting them up to get something else in the future.
Yeah, push mid, bot, top lane, every single lane. Isma's kind of suffocating here, and all the neutrals going to the side of BDS. Now, one grub is over to the side of SK, but I imagine if BDS wanted to, they could just head topside and contest. You could see that SK know that, and DOS is already there, dropping some deep vision now. So any skirmish topside is under full control of SK, especially with the threat of that Pop Blossom.
Oh, Pop Blossom, flash, flash. Okay, fine trade now. SK, obviously a lot of tools to punish Nuke, but it's a similar boat for BDS if they're able to catch out Nisqy. You can see BDS grouping up to try to regain control of the top side of the map. One of the big disadvantages of taking a champion like Thresh is that he's much easier to pick off. He doesn't get the same level of confidence to walk into the jungle that a pick like Nautilus does. Doesn't have the hook to a wall to escape either. Is trading on the top side, but the axe connected. Irrelevant. Good sidestep. Isma, good cover to stop the all-in from coming through.
Yeah, the phase rush isn't enough there, and Isma has to be dragged top again to cover the lane. Irrelevant. It's a really rough time in topside. Now the grubs are going to go for BDS as well.
Good coverage. Of course, most likely spotted out here by the Scuttle Crab vision. So SK knows this is happening, but you mentioned it earlier. Every objective, BDS. Early pressure for BDS. Yes, bot lane is even, but doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot. And when you look at a composition like SK, as you mentioned earlier, the dive or the pick potential as we get later in the game when you have a duo like Neeko and Xin, when BDS are at an advantage, Thresh feels like one of the best champs in the game because you can play so greedy, so aggressive, so forward, knowing that the Lantern is there to bail you out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm trying to think of like what SK's win condition is at this point, because after a while, of course, they do have the outrange condition, right? Aphelios, historically a champion that does struggle into a bunch of range, and playing against Zeri, who can play at least a decent amount of range with a W, as well as the Jayce EQs. Whilst Jayce isn't that much of an EQ champion anymore,
Counter-strike going in under the correct target as Sheo wants to keep that going. Nuke now coming in as well. Pop Blossom just for a bit of extra shielding. Knockup is there, and it's good. Lantern to take Sheo out if he wants it, but no. Isma knocking him out of the sky. There will be no safety today, and just like that, BDS overstep from the top side of the river. Sheo feeling a bit too confident, but now Ice looking to punish. DOS should just go down here. BDS will get one back.
I mean, it's the classic Adam, isn't it? Roaming down through mid and then finding a play, trying to recover it a little bit. Now he's going to get mid farm, and he can go topside to cover as well.
Sending a hovering clone at him, incredibly obnoxious. Good vision coverage from BDS on the top side. Won't mean much for now, but I think their ward placement thus far has been solid. That said,
Adam, he doesn't have Ghost, but he's
does have ultimate, and Nisqy's just gonna get popped! CC immune! I don't know if Isma wants to keep that going. Nuke now there to cover, but he's committing the flash, and now Nuke can try to turn it, but they don't quite have the damage. Irrelevant now zooming in, courtesy of the acceleration gate. DOS flash, the hook. It's just one extended play.
And that's just quintessential Adam, isn't it? Running around the map, finding kills, but in the end dying and having not farmed a wave in a minute and a half. Still, really crucial to turn around a bunch of plays. Good collapse from DOS, though, coming through mid and finding the flash hook.
Absolutely. But moments ago, BDS had a 2K gold lead, and we're getting every objective on the map, and they just threw that all away. Top lane was slightly winning for Adam. It's dead even. And jungle was significantly winning for Sheo. It's now essentially dead even. Nuke is the last strong point on the map for BDS.
And it all starts with Sheo trying to take a 1v1 as a
good hook.
Ice.
No immediate follow-up CC, but DOS should be fine. He triggers the Aftershock. Good damage there, but the Ignite now ticking. DOS just gets to walk away. Ice wants to walk back to the Lantern, but Exakick is determined to finish that one off, and there's Nisqy for the cover. BDS. They were so good, they were so clean early on in the game, but now they're just overstepping left and right.
And it's all these bot side skirmishes. Every single one, it feels like someone's overreaching. Last time it was Sheo on the Drax trying to 1v1 the Zhao with Isma. But the rest of the team of SK, they just collapse first. Every single time. That's happened twice now.
And credit to SK for finding the windows of opportunities, but BDS getting lost in the moment, thinking they have a little bit more damage than they do. And remember, moments ago, it was mid-jungle that were very far ahead for BDS. Now they're getting closer and closer in terms of mid lane, and it's a 1K gold lead for Exakick.
Yeah, no sums bot side either now. So this dragon that's coming up, it's probably not going to be contestable. You just get Flash Neeko ulted, and you can't move as the Aphelios, even though you do have Lantern. It's kind of unpeelable. So This setup's going to be rough. They do have a bunch of vision control. Labrov is there first.
And how many times have we seen just entire games decided by good Neeko ultimates, right? That's part of the reason that I love this champion in Pro, is that you just always have an incredible team fighting tool to fall back on. Something that, you know, BDS really don't. Yes, Karma has the shielding. Yes, you can always DPS check with the sheer amount of, you know, threats that you can shield up and movement speed forward. But in terms of simplicity as we get later in the game, Neeko makes a lot of things very easy.
I mean, they have first move bot side. If this goes long, they don't have flash. It could be scary.
There. TP in. Not a lot of upfront damage on a DOS. DOS still alive. This man just keeps getting away. Nisqy getting in. There's 3 members locked up. Lambs to the slaughter.
And it's just Nisqy, isn't it? With the flash Pop Blossom onto 3 people. Managed to find it. Flashless ice on the Aphelios. No escape. You cannot peel with the Thresh there.
There's just no room to interact. And credit to SK Gaming. Credit to Nisqy. The first 2 Pop Blossoms looked terrible, but finds that one when it matters. And DOS looked like he was caught out, but a good use of the TP. We can look at this again. This looks like SK have just completely overstepped.
Yeah, BDS try to make a quick play onto DOS because they see their first on the move, but then the TP comes down. They don't take that into account. DOS buys enough time being tanky enough for Neeko to just do this.
And the rest is just cleanup. It's simple, blooming burst, Exakick just dashing in, bit of lightning. I'm going to say he was just impersonating DOS there, because I'm going to be honest, that was exactly 200 health away from being DOS inting. But it works, it punishes BDS, I think, overestimating their own strength. First item...
I think that's twice now?
Yeah.
Trying to burst out DOS, the Nautilus, with Aftershock. But getting collapsed on.
And it's Karma-based damage, and it's Jax. And Jax now has Trinity Force, so there's a bit more damage. But it's also Static Aphelios, which, if you don't know why, Static is just great for wave clear. It's just generally a good item. It's pretty cost-efficient now on the new patch. Like, it makes sense to build it, but you are not spiking as Ice right now. You are still entirely dependent on having really good guns for burst damage. Ice does not hit hard at this point in the game.
Half an item ahead, but like honestly, the components, regardless of the gold lead, the components and the item level, like it's kind of still sort of similar. 1.5 items across the board, so any kind of skirmish, as long as Ice has flash, which he doesn't, so keep your eyes on that. He could get flash Neeko ulted again. Sorry, get Neeko ulted again.
Root coming
Should
in.
be relatively even.
Nisqy still fishing for the flank. Adam has spotted him out for now on the vision. Just needs to keep the Neeko away, and BDS should be favored in the skirmish overall. It's effectively a 3v4 until Nisqy can get into the fight, and now it'll be a full-on 4v4 or 4v3. BDS, they commit the TP, willingly conceding the bot lane to ensure that they get that Rift Herald.
Yeah, not just the bot lane though. Pings are coming down on the enemy jungle camp stand bot side. They wanted to cross-map the Gromp as well as some Wolves, but instead going to have to settle for some Scuttle Crab. You can see there's pings in response from BDS to defend the Gromp. Not going to manifest into anything though, but it's just the idea was there.
Yeah, and now the question is, what can they get with that Herald? Because you've willingly given up tower. Presumably just knew it was going to go down anyway. Irrelevant, the side lane was already pushing forward, chipping away at it. But what does the Herald get them? Does Adam get a tower of his own here? Irrelevant already on the way up, shouldn't be able to push anything else. He is just going to back off.
Things were coming down top side to maybe punish Adam, but he gets the reset, and now it looks like they're going bot side. Neeko has transformed into a minion, so any kind of play there. We saw a lot of Neeko shenanigans last week.
All right. Everybody, how many melee minions are there?
Oh no!
4! It's a Neeko! Oh! Why are we so bad at counting? Why is Labrov exactly where he needs to be? BDS coach line, give us the same Hail Mary, baby! Labrov, guardian angel for Nuke. He should have been dead to right.
20 HP, he managed to live on so low, just getting out of there a fraction of the time. I can't believe how often that works. I won't lie. I feel like we get away with that way too often.
All I'm saying is, if the VOD reviews aren't including Sesame Street, you're messing up, because people are not counting minions right now. They need some support. That said, honor Labrov. This man just saved a life. That absolutely should have been a kill.
Yeah. SK committing a bunch of resources topside. Adam having to pop ultimate. You see 4 people topside, but they're not bleeding anything anywhere because they have top bot push. So just going to shift back mid.
Ooh, and I like the adaptation from Exakick here. Very often we see, oh, that's another minion.
Oh,
all right, you don't even have to count this
Flashes
one.
up.
You just know. Root landing. Lantern there. Hook. It's so clean.
It's just Nisqy.
And this is the thing. At the start of the game, the way the early lane plays out, the way that first skirmish played out, I thought this was going to be the nuke show, but SK coming out of this lane phase has been just everywhere on the map, incredibly dominant. 9 for 9 kill participation coming in for Nisqy.
Just felt like the skirmishes around bot side in that river, biting off a bit more than they can chew pretty often, and then SK just getting the jump on them afterwards.
Excellent conversions. Very often, you know, I'll say 1 or 2 moments where maybe DOS should have died. You know, maybe. But he lives, which just makes it that much better. They were winning plays even if he did get picked off, but still managing to convert it well.
Yeah, 2 items on the Zeri. Any kind of fight around bot side is going to be rough. So BDS don't want to fight that. Instead, they're going to commit all their resources topside. And Jayce, fairly gankable and diveable. Fight in river topside.
So again, they still got the Eye of the Herald. Sheo now flashing and lantering out. Losing the flash going to be very frustrating in the fights to come. Flash for Ice finally up and available. Nuke flash down, Sheo flash down. We talked about the dive threat of SK multiple times over the course of the game. You've seen it a few times with Nisqy, so some easy targets for Nisqy in the next couple fights.
Yeah, SK, they keep defending the potential cross maps on the Dragon that they see BDS coming to do. BDS tried to send people topside to punish the Jayce, but then SK cover it. Then they still secure the Dragon afterwards, so just excellent macro from BDS here.
Good coverage. Now pressure on the top side. Irrelevant going to be a little bit late to that wave. Is it enough time for Adam to get more than just denying some creeps?
I think BDS were trying to cheese bush the Jayce there, but Irrelevant managed to hit a plant which revealed Sheo.
That's a Thresh! And soon it will be a dead Thresh, as Labrov's got nowhere to go. So hard when you're not linked up with your jungler as a support Thresh to get vision down.
This is what we highlighted. In terms of the pick potential on the Thresh, it's really high with the Nautilus. Every single time. And
Thresh in Pro is such a tricky champion because he does a little bit of everything that you want a support to do, but also he does nothing incredibly well. He's not best in class at anything other than Lantern, right?
And it's definitely a champion where you need to get some sort of lead in lane. Otherwise, you're just kind of a Lantern bot later on, right? Your champion isn't particularly powerful. It's not as good as a point-and-click Nautilus ultimate in terms of consistency, right?
Yeah, and you don't have the tankiness that Nautilus does either. It's tricky to play out, but if BDS had been able to snowball, it might have been a different story. We might have seen a Thresh that gets to sit in fog of war, throw out hooks, fish for picks. Instead, a bit on the back foot here. Moving into mid to cover Ice if necessary. Charge goes in. Well and ready to cheer for it, but it doesn't finish the tower. Remember, they gave up bot lane tier 1 for that Herald, so only getting the charge off it doesn't feel great as Irrelevant grabs yet another tower.
Not the best trade in the world, but they can't commit, right? Because you have 2 items on your Karma, but she's bot side, so any kind of extended long fight, SK are just going to win. And in response, Irrelevant to that tower damage in mid lane takes topside. Another injection of gold.
And the game just gets trickier and trickier for BDS to play out. Late game insurance is still Ice. 1-3 the current score line at a 2.3k individual gold deficit, which is a tricky problem. Nisqy turns into honeypot.
And then a helicopter.
And then a helicopter.
And then pauses.
And then pauses. Don't know what's going on. We'll keep you informed as to what is happening as the Fonk is laid down underneath us. No more Fonk. Okay.
5-0 Zeri.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to deal with.
I would describe that as a problem. Actually, I'd go so far as to say that's a big problem for BDS.
Yeah.
And such a weird game because we saw Aphelios in draft, and I'm like, ooh, BDS back to scaling. League officials have paused the game for not the teams, so league officials have paused the game for an administrative pause. We are waiting for details from league officials. I'm curious to see what it is. There are, obviously there's a list of bugs, and some of them are, you know, hey, you should be aware this is a bug, and there are some that are, hey, you could replicate this for competitive advantage, don't do this. And so I don't think anyone would do that intentionally, but it is possible that someone accidentally did something that they weren't supposed to do or bought an item they're not supposed to buy. That information isn't available publicly, but of course, if we need to give it to you here, if there's context we need to give you, we will provide it as soon as we have it. In the meantime, we wait for league officials.
So my only problem is that usually what you do into Zeri is you pick some kind of lockdown, right? You pick Nautilus ult, Vial,
What do you mean? You just, just hit the hook forehead? Come on. Just land the Thresh hook.
Labrov on this Thresh. Yeah, sorry. It's going to be rough. But what they did was they picked the Nautilus as well to deny that potential lockdown away from them. It's rough.
But they had already picked the Thresh. They didn't even blind the knot. Like, they were cooking on the side of BDS, and I think just we're not did not think that they would be in a position where Zeri was this far ahead. I think like they were not prepared for this contingency scenario. And that's going to hurt as we get later in the game. I won't say they made a mistake in draft, but I will say that this is one of the weaknesses of the comp that you picked, as you highlighted, is how do you stop Zeri from Zeri? Well, unless she just stops right-clicking the ground away from enemy champions, Jax is not going to be able to land a stun. Karma's not going to be able to land a root. Aphelios, maybe. Auto Q, you're good, right?
Yeah, maybe. I think it's just incredibly difficult because you're so far behind, right? I think you're 1.5 items on the Aphelios right now versus 2.5. You're so far behind in every single fight. The big problem they had was that they needed to play through this winning jungle matchup. They had Jax into Zinzao with priority in the mid lane, but just somehow, in these bot side fights in the river, every single one they took, they just get collapsed on and they lose their lead. And this composition, it really gets outscaled by what BDS have on the table.
Yeah. I believe the problem is with Nisqy, which means I almost assuredly know what it is. So all of you know that when you play Neeko, you can recall or emote to extend the animation. There are a set of Neeko interactions that are not so good, which is, I believe, what is being explained to Nisqy now. I will, of course, keep you up for official wording, but I believe you're not allowed to, being told no speculation, even though it's okay. We'll keep you posted. I'll get the official wording in the meantime. Problem with Nisqy. League officials talking to Nisqy. He's just too good at Neeko. They said, you need to tone it down. You're supposed to save this for international competition.
That three-man pop
The
blossom?
LPL and LCK cannot see you coming. What do we talk about? Secret plan. Operation LEC MSI Champions 2024. Working on it now. And Eragon, you've been a pro player. You probably sat in a pause once or twice.
I have.
What's going through your mind? All your teammates silent on stage, not allowed to talk to each other, not allowed to unmute in your Discord if you're playing from home.
Yeah. So, to be honest, I wasn't in this kind of environment. I could yap, right? So we would just talk about every single scenario that we possibly could coming out of it. But after a while, you just sort of run out of things to say because it's not that deep, right?
So it's like casting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were just up here. We're like, all right, when do we start talking about One Punch Man? That's the question.
That's true.
You know, when do we go off the train? That's the question that keeps you awake at night. What is the time where we can go away and talk about your complete and blinding obsession with One Punch Man?
How I never got past the first boss in Elden Ring.
And how you never, well, I wasn't going to bring that up today because I didn't want people to harass you because certainly that is an inexcusable offense.
Yeah, I'm not embarrassed. I'm proud to admit I'm not the best gamer in the world.
That's fair. I mean, you're pretty good. You're much better than me at League of Legends, so don't sell yourself short here. You're dragging me down with you. My big question is, you're obviously a guy who likes the gym, based on the dimensions of your upper body. Are you such a big fan of One Punch Man that you did the same workout? Did you try it?
I have tried it, okay. But after a while, you just holy moly, sort of start to die. After a while, your body just cannot recover, so I don't recommend anyone actually try it, doing the 100 push-ups, 100 squats, 100 sit-ups a day.
Okay.
It's really rough.
All right, well, I'm saying, maybe it would work. It works for One Punch Man, that's all I'm saying. So at 21:25, this is the official wording. There's no more speculation. League officials paused the game after confirming that SK Nisqy had incidentally utilized a bug that was previously informed to teams to be aware of and not utilize. During the pause, the teams and players were reminded of the bug, and because no significant advantage was gained, we will be playing on. That's what you get, dear audience. There was an accidental bug with Neeko that did not result in a competitive advantage, so we continue as if nothing happened with a quick speech, a quick warning, a quick reminder not to do it. Anyway, we continue on. And now there's a 9-stack Medjai's. That's not a bug. That's just a good purchase. Nisqy, very confident.
Essentially 3 items now, and any kind of bot blossom is going to hurt. He does have that flash available for a dragon in 2 minutes' time. Full topside control coming out for BDS as well. Adam making sure that they have vision on this Baron just in case there's a startup. Zeri is so fed right now. Don't look at her inventory compared to the opposite side. I
mean, so fed, and it's not Phantom Dancer, it's Runance, which I love against so many melee champions on the enemy team. Adam and Sheo are just going to get eaten alive in the fight. And
here it comes!
Because here comes the pop boss of 2 quick kills. There's only room for 1 on the lantern. Nobody gets the train to safety as Adam is forced to ult.
And that's all it takes. Adam has to preemptively group because he doesn't have TP, and any kind of flank because they have no mid tower is so easy by Nisqy. He just presses flash, and now that's going to be a Baron star.
Shock Blast goes in, just a bit of poke. Sheo Flash almost available. Nisqy just continuing to throw the clone for a bit of vision. SK, are they willing to flip it? Nisqy doesn't have great tools to stop Jax from getting in. They're taking a lot of time here. 4K, it's getting lower. The rest of SK pulling back in the event of a fight. Now turning in onto Adam. Nisqy coming from over the wall. Sheo with the stun. Baron resets with BDS. Just need to get out with as many members alive as they can. Labrov, nice play back to safety. Exakick comes in to finish the kill. BDS delay the Baron, but at the cost of at least one life in the form of Labrov. But it only cost them one.
Trading it, trading the damage on the Baron, and then bringing them in, picking off Labrov and forcing the flash of Sheo. Really good turn and discipline from SK, not just flipping it, keeping it at 3k or so. And now they're going to get global red buff too. So, really good turn from SK.
I mean, incremental advantage going in their favor. And again, if you want them to stay on the Baron there, they're risking the
Sheo
50, but now they'll just kill Sheo, and they don't have to risk anything! Knock up, knock back. Sheo sent packing and straight to the graveyard. Relevant waiting over the wall, and I imagine SK feel much more confident to just start the objective here.
Yeah, no real contesting tools. You have no flashes on Ice or Adam, so if you run in there, you're just dead even though you have a Lantern. And we've seen the Lantern's effectiveness just really hasn't been there.
Really, really great when you're ahead or you're denying a single pick on side lanes, but in this situation, Thresh is much worse than the team fight. Nisqy landing the root. That was a fake Nisqy in front of you, the real Nisqy. Hitting Adam for a bit of poke. 12 seconds on Sheo. Baron 5k HP. This is by all means SK. There's no way this can get stolen. It will go into their back pocket. And again, SK, the game starts BDS mid-jungle looking fantastic, looking unstoppable, but every moment after that one, every play after that one has gone in favor of SK.
And BDS, they're just struggling, right, to even cross-map. They're trying to just permanently group, and that's the weakness of not having teleport on Adam here, is they're going to go for a desperation topside play. I don't think they're going to be able to get it. Nisqy might be stuck, though. Is he going to TP?
Pop Blossom just trying to burn through Nuke's health bar, and he's very strong, but Mantra W, the extra healing now coming in from Karma. Lantern as well. It should just be a quick pick. Doss sprinting up to the top side, shut down onto Nisqy. That's the start of something, at least limiting the initial impact of this Baron.
Yeah, Irrelevant TPing to the tier 2 tower to try and find something. Adam, without flash, without ulti,
he's gonna die. But he gave his life for a trade on a Nisqy. So still a positive exchange in terms of gold.
Yeah. Consolation prize down bot side as well with Sheo on that dragon. But it's not gonna mean much, it's only first Drake. As that's gonna be a top tier 2. Extended play goes over to the side of SK, you can imagine.
We got some Drakes earlier, so I believe our HUD is just out of date in terms of Drakes. Perhaps during the pause we lost it, but I will check in with production and make sure that is still the case.
Oh,
Isma, of course. Isma getting aggressive, laying down the ultimate. Inner Flame coming out for a bit of poke here, but the follow-up damage is so difficult. But now the ulti has fallen away, the healing coming in alongside the smite. Doss trying to follow up, but what the hell is this? Okay, SK, they are committed to beating these kills, but Exakick now just looking for his montage moment. He took his sweet time. He's saying, look guys, you line them up, you look like you're feeding, I'll come in and I'll clean house, and he does just that. I'm not gonna call it the greatest play ever, but I will say Exakick feels pretty good about those kills.
8-0-4, he's having a great game, finding the opportunity onto the flashless ice under the tier 2, and I thought that was a terrible play. I thought SK were just giving her a bunch of bounties from the Nisqy death.
And by all means, they were. All I'm gonna say is, there have been a number of SK plays this game that have looked suspiciously like inting that have worked out for them.
Yeah.
So while they were successful...
No, they're baiting cooldowns.
They're baiting cooldowns. So here we can see in the mind of Isma, he says, my goal is to use cooldowns so that the Zeri in mid lane, who will arrive in approximately 15 seconds, can clean up this fight.
I think he was trying to knock back the Aphelios mid-lantern to try and knock him into his team, but that was ambitious, right? So then, Exakick goes in, no cooldowns, how do you peel? And the flash. Oh, it's beautiful.
Almost gets the Labrov too. So, okay. That's the face I made at the start, and then presumably at the end there was another face like, all right, I guess we got 2 kills.
But it's really simple now, isn't it, for SK? They just need to go down bot, so the 8-0-4 item Zeri. He just has to hit the tower, and the Karma damage isn't even there anymore, despite being almost at a death cap. So maybe, if BDS can reach death cap on the Karma damage, I might be grasping at straws a little.
I think we are. We're looking for the silver lining on the cloud for BDS here. Ice, 2.5 items, maybe some more pen coming through. Nisqy now a minion. But SK run the map. It is so difficult for BDS to find a counterplay here. They lack reliable engage. They lack, outside of Lantern, reliable disengage. Karma's their main reliable wave clear. If they had continued to snowball the lead that they got early game, this could have looked very different. But now with SK an advantage and just frankly better tools, it's a nightmare situation for BDS.
And it seems like BDS's last resort is to try and accelerate Sheo on the Jax, having cross-map the Dragon, having cross-map the tier 2 topside now. Maybe he can buy something. It really depends what enters Sheo's inventory here, if he can have an impact, but they're just barraging it down mid on their 5-stack.
Group and go. 6K gold lead. Dragon 2.5 minutes away. And man, that's a very fed Zeri.
Yeah. It's been a comeback, hasn't it? From SK.
And to be fair, bot lane wasn't really involved. Like, none of the early game is on, positive or negative, is on any of the bot laners. So AD carries or supports in this game. It was so much about top side. But that first roam up, that first exchange where I think Sheo just got a little over-eager, because he had been doing so many good things. I mean, and once SK got a hold after that successful play, once Nisqy got a hold, really, it's just been winning throughout.
The problem is, compared to Winter, there is no hyper carry Azir or Orianna ball delivery that BDS can fall back on, right, at your third Dragon fight, which is something they really crutched on, I feel like, despite being behind some games. They would always pull off a miracle team fight. But Karma's very different, right? She doesn't scale the same sort of way. You have kind of a one-threat composition with the Aphelios at the moment with some Karma shields. It's not the same. And I feel like we're seeing that right now with Nuke.
Definitely. And the evolution that BDS want for themselves that we want to see from them as well is moving past
Nisqy.
the style. It's Nisqy. Okay. That was terrible. But you can fish for that. And again,
the outrange.
The best part about this game for SK is that they will get the win. The worst part about this game is that right after the coaches leave the stage with their smiles and their high fives, every player on this roster is getting roasted.
In the mic check last week, Adam apologized to his coach before the game ended.
Oh, for sure, SK are apologizing.
Will there be an apology somewhere?
And there's nothing wrong with Nisqy fishing. It doesn't cost them a lot. But there are so many instances in this game where SK are making questionable plays, and it is on the back of their lead or very fortunate positioning that they just come out on top anyway. And they're still playing great, but when you're looking to improve in the arms race here that is, you know, a very fast split, you got to be as clean as possible. And BDS should know that as well.
So BDS going to have a decent amount of wave play with the Karma Mantra Qs, so sieging top side is going to be difficult. They do have minions coming in both mid and bot side, so just playing with time, maybe they could chip away this tower. But death pushing?
Isma in the darkness. The biggest problem here is that Adam is kind of the person who can most reliably face check brushes, him and Sheo, but
there it is.
Here we go! Surprise! Forcing out the Olaf ult. Really the only turn tool that they have, but no one else is here to do damage, so now Adam just gets to take over. They got over-aggressive! The carry isn't there! Adam gonna start rocking and rolling and ripping through the SK backline! And there it is! SK got a little bit too comfortable, made a few too many sloppy plays, and the windows of opportunity for BDS have been thrown wide open. The Baron is alive. SK have thrown away their entire lead.
And they engage onto Adam with no DPS. You had a Neeko, Xin Zhao, and a Nautilus, so he gets the drain, take absolutely everything, killing everyone in melee range. Your DPS Exakick was trying to engage on everyone else. And that's a huge gold swing back to the side of BDS. So let's take a look at this, right? Watch the engage. They do something really creative with the Chemtech Blast Plan, which I absolutely love. But they got no damage. This trio, this core trio has absolutely no DPS, so Adam can just run through them. Labrov's there too. That's some shutdowns coming in. You see down bottom, Exakick split up.
Instant. Ooh, ulti from Ice is nice. It gets the root. Exakick dies as well. And this is the only way SK could lose a fight if they split up like this. If they didn't burst down the right to if they fight front to back, there's no winning for BDS.
I think they just have to play with time.
Yes, yes, yes! That's how we all feel! What the hell happened? Have we not seen enough Adam Olaf games? Have you not watched this man walk through an entire team enough times?
7,000 damage. He absolutely murdered.
It's the meme. How many times do we have to keep teaching you this lesson, old man? But the old man is the entire top side of SK Gaming.
I think they got possessed by the new Chemtech plan, but now...
No, they got over-eager, because they were winning, but now they need to play flawlessly. Because Ice is caught up so much. Adam is a big threat. If they don't play this out properly, if they make one more sloppy mistake, BDS are in total control again.
The front to back is very real now for the side of BDS. Ice, 4 items. It's comparable now versus 4.5 for the side of the Zeri. It's a 3-5 Aphelios, but it doesn't matter. And now that one-shot condition you have onto Ice is sort of mitigated because you also have the GA.
Which is big. I will say, Serpent's Fang also coming in from Irrelevant is nice to have. They're hoping to get the ultimate out from Adam before any fight can break out, and Might have caught BDS slipping. Recalls are finally coming in. Nuke going to continue to usher that wave and does have TP if he needs to return to base. This is a bit of a risky proposition.
Yeah, he can't decide because he does have TP to teleport topside, but he's not sure he should recall to defend or not. He's also potentially scared of getting TP'd behind. So, doesn't get the tier 2 down bot side, and my question is, how do they use this Baron? I guess just to stall out and scale longer, defending against those supers.
Well, and I think you don't have to get over eager, right? You went from a position where the game was done to now an even state. You can... Now you finally get to play the composition at least a little bit of the way that you intended to, instead of having to play from such a massive deficit. Good news for SK is very easy for Nisqy to at least check these brushes. Flash in, flash out. Good from Nuke, but now it's on SK. Can they find that window of opportunity to punish the missing summer spell from Nuke?
Flash pop blossom. That's really all it takes.
It was Nisqy, really, who turned this game around for SK, and it might have to be Nisqy one more time.
Adam with 3.5 items now to almost 4. Nisqy's a blue buff.
And the thing is that most of the threats are AD, so if Adam just keeps jamming armor, you know, he can survive the entire combo of Nisqy at this point in the game.
So the win condition you have if you're SK is you outrange, right? We talked about this before with the Zeri Ws and the Jayce Shock Blast onto the Aphelios, but now you have a bunch of shields, the overheal coming in as well for the Aphelios.
The Serpent's Fang, nice for Irrelevant at the very least, to mitigate some of the shielding, but it doesn't delete shielding entirely. And a lot of that poke just isn't going to stick. Baron going to fade away. Full team reset coming in for BDS. No real objective on the map to play for, so we're in the stage of the game where both teams might fish. But yeah, it is a stalemate. We're going at least till the next major objective.
Dragon up in 1 minute 30. You can imagine which team will move down. It's the BDS going to move down for some vision. Be very important versus Neeko. When you're against Neeko, when you're against these flanking champions, you have to set up vision and mark your flanks. That's going to be crucial for BDS, especially when we play this front-to-back composition.
And when we look at how these teams have won games in the past, I will say that, you know, when SK was very far ahead, things looked great. But now you're in an even state, and if I look away from the compositions and just look at the teams, BDS have always been a team that monster late game team fights. That's how they get back on so many of the games. And yes, they draft for it as well, but for SK, their execution has to be perfect. I think the champion like Jayce late game, you know, you have to be really, really solid from Irrelevant, because it's very easy for you to just have zero impact in a fight if you do not play it out well.
And last week, Ice was on the Aphelios as well, playing so incredibly well. One of the most consistent players on BDS last week in their kind of disastrous week.
I would say the most consistent, to be honest. Labrov, the Blitz, I mean, there's a lot of moments from everyone on BDS except for him that just felt, they looked a little bit lost.
Absolutely. Now, Dragon spawning up 50 seconds, and BDS are going to have to face check, probably move through mid. Karma does have TP.
Did they count? Did they count? No, they didn't! No. They didn't count! But now they might have to turn! The birdie's now going down, the GA's coming in as well, Exakick untouched! And just like that, Adam's gonna get taken out as well! Exakick is so damn strong, but keep your eyes on Ice! Ice trying to lay down all the fire he possibly can! The Inferno coming in! Ice still living! Ice still holding on! It is Ice versus the world. Sheo now running. Backing away, both AD carries alive, but BDS running from their own base. SK, what is the maneuver here? Sheo and Ice barely holding out in that team fight that should have just been a sure thing for SK.
Exakick versus Ice, it's so damn close. Which AD carry can pump out most of the damage? He managed to survive the pop blossom because of the GA, but now you can't help but feel like it's going to be Dragon for the side of SK.
Counter-strike. Ice fully healing up. Exakick's going to need to reset here, but they have enough of an advantage in terms of pressure that maybe he just goes for the Drake first.
Crucially, Ice does have flash up, but I don't think they're going to test this yet. No way to move in. Jax is too far away.
Doesn't, but again, for the BDS composition, it's impossible to lock Zeri down. Let's take a look at this one again.
So they walk up. I think just watch Nisqy. How are we not counting minions? Nisqy managed to find the angle as a melee minion.
The little one's a little bit further behind. He realizes
on the
last second.
And then the GA gets popped, and then it's just a cluster, right? You can't even make out what the hell's going on. Adam looks like he's going to have a pop-up moment, but he gets shredded. And then it's just the AoE of Zeri, the Exakick Zeri, as well as Adam. Watch Ice getting so low, but managing to out-lifesteal Isma there.
It's crazy. Any other guns, and he would have just died. And I can't say entirely skill on having the right guns up, because you didn't pick that engage, right? It's just very fortunate that you had what you had at that exact moment. But that is the threat of Nisqy. And as you highlighted, Ice still has flash. It is all about him. The rest of BDS, distractions, to be honest with you. Yes, they can, if they're left unattended, do a lot of work, but they're just front lines. They're just meatballs to try to protect that AD carry.
And if they want this miracle, it's going to have to be Nisqy, and can he find it without flash?
Up time. Objective going down, the 50-50 going in the favor of BDS. Push forward from SK, acceleration gate. Look, not going to connect, Dos not going to land his either. Recall's now coming in. BDS get the objective. SK know that they need to try and force the fight here. Isma locked up, holding onto the ultimate for a second. Exakick now going over the wall. Labrov gonna be in trouble. Labrov should just drop immediately. Ice now firing back. Ice still standing with the summoner spell though. He might just be too damn clean. The point click CC, the immediate follow-up is just not there. The flash away from Isma. Finally, he is forced to use it, but they're taking the fight. The hook from DOS is big, but no one is there. His entire backline is already dead and now irrelevant, doing what he can, but BDS get the fight!
They managed to turn it around after that engage. You can see Exakick posturing to dive, but Ice manages to survive, and it's too damn hard for SK to find the engage without the flashes. Ice kites away, it's beautiful.
Well played from BDS as a whole, too. It starts off disastrously with Labrov getting picked off, but they manage to keep Ice standing. The wave there. The minions, do they have to be answered?
20 seconds, I think.
But there's no TPs for SK. I think they can just end. Observer, stop teasing us. If it's actually going to happen, I'm going to lose my mind.
But off of the back of the front to back.
PvE? There's no way. No, okay, they moved away. They moved away. BDS! It was Adam to bring it back. It was Ice to take it home. It was not a clean game, but it was a BDS win. And that's all that matters for them right now.
So bloody, so back and forth. And just when you think one team's winning, the other starts winning and bring it back. Not ideal.
It was messy, but it slapped. I mean,
yeah,
that was a great game. But both sides sent back to the drawing board after that one. But ultimately, only one team came out on top, and it is BDS, your player of the game. Vote now at LEC on X. Top Adam, Nuke, or Labrov. Choices. Kia, player of the game. On the opposite side, hearts out to SK. I mean, so many good moments. Threw it all away, though, sad to say. And now it's BDS who will get to take the bow. In the meantime, we're going to go to a quick break. When we return, an interview in the next game.
Red Bull gives you wings.